Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brian back again with another episode of the podcast. Today, super excited to welcome my good friend Kevin Glasford A.K.A. DJ Sweat The Gent. Kevin is a DJ here in New York City who also comes from the professional dance world as well. I sit down and talk to him about transitioning from really working full-time as a professional dancer to now building up his own DJ business from the ground up, from nothing to literally where he is right now. Very inspirational to talk to someone who's in the midst of grinding it out and hustling to make their dreams happen up here in New York. Kevin's an awesome guy, a great spirit, great energy to sit down and talk to. We talk about everything from work to just life in general, relationships, signs the universe or God sends you about, where you need to be placing your priorities and energies. Just a really inspirational, awesome time talking to Kevin. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so I'm here with my buddy Kevin Glasford, who I haven't talked to in forever.
Right.
What is it, like 2 years?
About 2 years, yeah, man.
So I wanted to talk to you because I thought it's really interesting. I, in the last couple of years, transitioned from doing dance full time to now doing something totally different, real estate, right?
Right.
And I've noticed just through social media and stuff, we haven't really talked, but we talked a little bit before we started recording about how you went from really doing professional dance almost full time, and then now you've transitioned to doing DJing.
Yep.
So how did you get into DJing?
Well, I actually really started back in 2008. That's when I first got introduced to it. And I was learning the real basics, like how to blend, about BPMs. And that was really it. And then just
BPMs is beats per minute?
Beats per minute, yeah. So like the tempo of the song.
Right.
And I was learning to listen to certain aspects of music. So whether it be key or speed, without having to like read the mixer, basically.
Right.
So basically like real old school kind of style. Even though I wasn't on vinyls. But I only learned that in the beginning, and then like I kind of like left. I dropped out, basically. I dropped out of college because I didn't really want to be there at the time.
Wait, so you were taking DJing classes in college?
Yeah, so my major was communications for broadcasting because I wanted to be on the radio.
College?
Long Island University in Brooklyn.
So were you going to college the whole time you were dancing?
No.
Right.
No. I went to college right after I started dancing, started when I was like back in the Bronx and doing like, little things in the Bronx. And I left college after my first semester because I didn't want to be there. I wanted to get like a regular job. Yeah. Well, I had gotten a regular job at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. When it first opened, the new one when it first opened. And so I left, but I kept dancing. I was working, and then after work I would like would meet up with my friends, and we would like session in the Bronx or just go and like hang out with them. And that's what I was surrounded by, like my 4 friends basically.
Gotcha.
And so I stopped DJing, but I always kind of like, whenever I went out, if we ever went to a club or something like that, or like a party, my ear was always to the music and the DJ. So fasting forward, it's like 2013, and I downloaded this app called iDJ.
Okay.
And I started dibbling and dabbling with that, playing around with that.
Was that on your phone or on the computer?
Phone. Okay. All phone. And it allowed me to like mix music, whatever songs I had on my phone already. So I would play around with that. And then I was actually dating a girl at the time. She had an iPad. Okay. And I downloaded the app on her iPad. Nice. And I would like mix from her iPad whatever song she had. So I booked a gig to Japan, and I'm like, I need a computer, just to like watch DVDs with, and like also just just to have a computer.
Yes.
I could finally afford to have a computer.
Yeah. That gig in Japan, not to throw you off, that was the Hinton Battle thing you did.
Yeah. Okay. It was a American Variety Bank.
So it was like a variety show. Yeah. With dancers.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And so I had like the sheet where it tells you how much you get paid a week, and all the money that you get out of this gig. And so I contacted another friend of mine who's actually an ex-girlfriend, Aurelia.
Okay.
I contacted her, and I was like, hey, like I'm going to Japan. Well, we were cool at the time, and like I was always cool with her parents. Mm-hmm. So I asked her parents a favor, like, is it okay if like you guys, you know, like kind of upfront it from me, and then like when I get back, I'll pay you right away because I'll have it.
Yeah.
And I showed them everything. I was like, look, I can prove it. It's here.
That's awesome.
And so they did that for me, and then I had a computer, and I downloaded the app on the computer.
Nice.
And I started playing every day after the show. I would go home and just mess around with it, like just because that was what I was doing in my spare time.
Yeah.
And I started to do it so much that I started to like it a lot. So I DJ like our like faculty party, house party, whatever that we had. Then I was like, yo, I kind of like this. I kind of like this. So I get back. I turn, what is this now? 24.
Okay.
And I'm really just doing it a lot. I'm going out and I'm listening to other DJs. Tiff was DJ, so wherever she was at, I would go. And then I started asking her, like, hey, like, can I like...
Just for the people who are listening, Tiff is Tiff McPherson, who was awesome. When I first started in New York about 7 years ago, in 2009, she was one of the people that was around BDC taking class and just a really good friend. Awesome, awesome girl. And she's an amazing DJ in New York. So if you guys are ever in New York, definitely check her out.
Yeah, if you ever in Madison Square Garden at like the I don't believe it's the Rangers, but the Knicks games mostly.
Really?
Yeah, she does. I believe she's DJ'd a lot of like the industry parties for the Knicks.
I had no idea.
But I think she mainly does the Liberty games.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Nice.
So I started like going under her and like just following her around. She would teach me things a little bit. Then I would then I dived into it and I went and I bought a controller, like a little basic turntable for like beginner DJs. And every morning I would wake up 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and I would like go in my kitchen, set it up, and I would just practice.
What was it about it that like pulled you in so much to make you want to sit down and use that time to practice? You know what I mean? Like, what was it about it that really piqued your interest? Like, what, you know?
I think it was just the way music sounds. Like, when I listen to music, it was funny, even before I started DJing, I would listen to a song, and I would be like, yo, this kind of sounds like this song. Mm-hmm. Or, like, I think these two songs are around the same, like, speed. Yeah. But without the knowledge of, like, wanting to DJ. So I think that stuck with me throughout my entire years from when I was young. And then like once I like saw somebody do it, and like I was at a party, I think I was watching some show or some movie, and there was a DJ. It was Juice. I was watching Juice. Yeah. And I'm just listening. I'm just like, yo, like that sounds dope. Like I like the way that sounds. And then I'm just like seeing them like just putting their hands on like vinyl and just going back and forth, and I'm like, yo, like he's making that sound like just by doing that. Like normally when I touch a record, it just goes and that's it. Yeah. And so my it was just like kind of sitting in my subconscious, and then yeah, and I'm saying a lot of things like specifically because I feel like we're gonna get into it totally later. Man. But so I think that's what it was. It was just listening to like the art form of it. Like it was always attractive to me. Right. Then I saw Jazzy Jeff. Okay. DJ Jazzy Jeff, you know, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith and all of them, like, he did a routine to Peter Piper. Okay. And
he's still actively DJing.
Yes,
too, right?
He is. He actually just put out a mixtape not too long ago.
Oh, nice.
Some songs that he produced.
Okay.
Which is something else that that we could talk about that I want to get into. And so he's doing like Peter Piper, and like I was actually a little bit of a fan of Run DMC before, but like he did a routine to Peter Piper, and he's like really demonstrating like the art form, like the culture, the technique of DJing, and like just listening to the way it sounds. I'm like, yo, like that sounds dope. The way he's just chopping up, making a new beat out of a song that I'm already accustomed to listening to. And so like I like legit trying to practice that beat, that routine, that one routine over and over. Nice. But it was hard, of course. It was too much technique work that I didn't know yet. So nonetheless, like I would just wake up, try to imitate that first, and then just start practicing, and like downloading music, practicing, just practicing with different songs of different genres. Because I just like from dancing, you just get exposed to so much music. Yeah. You're just like, I'm just a fan of everything.
It's so interesting how that happens too, because I remember before I started dancing, I grew up listening to like heavy metal, like hard rock. Like I was in bands throughout high school and college. Hip hop was like not what I was into at all.
Same here.
And then I started taking dance class, and you get. I think it's because you're using your body and you're like playing a character, and you're so into what's going on in the moment in the class with the song that you connect to music that you never would have thought you would have connected to, and it opens up your horizons to where now, I'm sure you feel the same way. Like I listen to everything.
Yeah.
Everything,
yeah, man. Especially DJing at Times Square. Well, not even just DJing there, but just DJing in general, because you get faced with so many situations.
Totally.
Because you're so open to a wide genre of music, you don't get locked into just being a hip hop DJ.
Nice.
Or just like a reggae DJ or any kind of like specific DJ. So yeah, like I'm like, it just teaches you just so much about how music is just covered by so many different people and how it brings something out of them.
Yeah.
Like I could be DJing, I could be playing soca, which is like the real fast paced carnival stuff. Yeah. And I'll get like a group of people that'll come in from like a non-Caribbean like country,
not from that culture.
Yeah, not from the culture at all. And they'll come in, they're just like moving, dancing, and it's just like, yo, you don't even know what they're saying.
I think DJs are like social magicians.
Oh yeah,
because you actually can control the energy in a room, and you can bring different groups of people together who have no experience with like soca, for instance, with that culture, and they feel the music and they move, and it's people. When people are moving and dancing and engaged with music together in one space, all of a sudden their walls drop, and people are able to see each other as humans and not other cultures.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
Yeah, it is. And for me, like when I was, one thing that it is very interesting about that particular like perspective of it is I can literally not want to play something, and it's just like I know that if I play it, the energy in the room, even if my energy doesn't go up fully, like I know it's going to like pump energy into this entire space and have it rise. And it's like either I can rise with it, or I can just watch it and just be like, all right, cool, y'all have fun. Yeah. But I'm not here right now. Yeah. I think that ties into like my personality when it comes to dealing with people. And it's like I may not necessarily want to like involve myself in whatever situation that you have. Like if it's like a bad energy, or if my energy is just low and I need to find my piece at it, like I'll still do something like to make sure that you're good. Like I always look to help and aid other people. And I feel like with DJing, it helps me to do that. And like it helps me to like, breathe my own energy into the world and like uplift it, or how to put that energy in without having the energy. Yeah. So
I think that's a key to happiness too, man. Yeah. It's like when you can make it, anytime you can make it not about you and about someone else. Tony Robbins has this great quote that he talks about a lot, where it's like people suffer because they're self-absorbed. They're so focused on themselves and all the BS that's going on in their lives that they start making all these stories up in their head about what stuff means, and it's like the more focused on yourself you are, the more you suffer. And when you can focus on other people, and the only way to really focus on other people is to be grateful for what you have, right? So like when you're grateful, you can't be angry, you can't be sad, you can't do all have all these negative emotions. So I think that's a key to like just being happy too. And with the DJing, with it giving you the outlet to be able to affect other people in a positive way and get paid for it, and it's a craft that you can become excellent at. And like I think those three pillars are crucial to having something fulfilling. Like it has to be something that's tough, that you have to learn to be better at. It's got to affect other people in a positive way, and you have to be able to make a living from it. And if you can do those three things, like that's the dream. Yeah. Yeah. Where do you see you going with DJing? Like, actually, no. Go back before. What was the transition like from dancing full time to DJing now full time? Like when did you make the decision where you were like, I'm done? Because I can tell you my story, and I can get into that about why I left the dance world, and I will, but I want to hear yours first.
Mine was, I don't know, it was like, I started I felt like I reached like this, like my like energy like valve was filled from dance. And it's like, you have like these little installments that like make you Iron Man, whatever. Yeah. And so I felt like me pouring into DJing now, like it revived me in a different way where like I felt a little more alive. I was a little more engaged with like life, or my bigger picture. And it was just like the more I teach, the more I just grew as a person. Yeah. And I think that's my thing. I'm always looking to learn something or grow more or like become older or wiser. Yeah. Like, and so once DJing gave me that feeling, I just started to pour into that. And then the part that really tore me away from the dance world, I actually was doing a gig with the Gap. It was like my first, I want to say like my first big kind of corporate gig,
commercial type.
Yeah, and that's what made me want to just be more of that kind of a DJ versus a club.
Got you.
And
Sky Hoffman did that, right?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah, he's cool.
And so, well, actually, no, the gag gig that I did, no, it was David Brown and Kira Hopper.
Oh, really? No, yeah. I thought Sky. Okay, so Sasha did something with Sky. I don't remember what it was.
No, I did that as well. Okay. That was a dance gig for the Gap.
Got it.
And yeah, he choreographed that.
That was before this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I booked the gig as a DJ. Like they contacted me, to DJ for like a release that they were doing, and so they hired me for one store, the store on 35th, and they hired actually Tiff McPherce for the other one down in I think Wall Street. And my Gap gig that I did had no dancers, but the other one did, right. And the dancers didn't get paid. Mm. And they had like rehearsal, and they were there I think they were there really early in the morning, or like really, it was like not a bad time, but like it took up a chunk of their time. Yeah. And I'm just like, like I just showed up, plugged in, and started playing. I played for 4 hours and got paid $400. And then I'm like, I contacted the dancers, like, oh, how much are you getting paid for the gig? And we got free clothes. Damn. And I was like, yeah.
And were they like young cats, like up and coming? No.
They were around our age.
Damn. See, that's like, I don't know why people allow themselves to be put in those situations, and it sucks because I feel like as dancers, we get taken advantage of because
all the time.
The people who are making the decisions. We've done so much stuff for free for so long, and I've said this since I started dancing. Like, and I didn't start dancing young; I started dancing really late. But ever since I've been here and like pursuing this, I've noticed like, all right, the Screen Actors Guild, right? The writers have a union, the crew has a union. Everyone has a union except the dancers. And like when I did the reason that I stopped dancing and I started looking at other options, I did a gig with Mariah Carey, and it was the pinnacle of where I got. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I remember that.
The biggest person I'd ever worked with. We were going to do the World Music Awards in Monte Carlo, and the whole gig from start to finish was a total shit show. Total shit show, man. From one of the dancers. I won't name any names. One of the dancers, like, something wrong with his passport, so we already flew over to London, like, short one dancer, and then we had to get these other dancers from Italy who, like, never took, didn't know how to do choreography. They were all freestyle dancers, and they had to come in, and we had to try to teach them this whole routine in, like, a day. We didn't have, like, per diem for the first day and a half. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So then we do the gig, and the gig was awesome. And it was a really great experience. I mean, Monte Carlo is an insane place. It's like, apparently they were describing it as like the billionaire's vacation spot. Like the cheapest car I saw driving around there was like the highest level Audi that exists. Everything else is like Aston Martins and McLarens, and it's And it's funny because it's me, Frankie, Jamel, and then we had this fourth was one of the Italian dancers, but us three walking around this resort in like basketball shorts and rehearsal gear when everyone's in Gucci, Prada, like Louis Vuitton. It was so funny. So we did the gig and we get back, and I think the gig was in May. And, you know, generally you should be paid within like 2 weeks, a month, you know, a month at most.
Yeah.
I mean, I've 6 weeks sometimes for like some corporate gigs where they have like a contract where they can wait 6 weeks to pay you. But, you know, May goes by, June goes by, July goes by, and this was like a, you know, $2,000 gig, you know, and at that time I was dancing full time, so like, you know how it is, if you do a gig and you don't get paid from that, it's like, how am I going to pay rent? How am I going to do, you know, you plan your life around these things. So July goes by, August goes by, September goes by, and then the whole time, you know, I'm emailing back and forth with the agent, and they're like, something's going on with Mariah Carey's accounting department, and at the time, she was getting divorced from Nick Cannon, so there was a bunch of BS going on at that time.
Wait, they've been divorced for that long?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that was around the time that I was going. So, long story short, it took me about 7 months to get paid for a gig that I did, and just going, you know, just spending the years like dancing and being able and starting to do gigs and seeing how we're treated and constantly being at the bottom of the barrel. I just got to the point where I was like, I looked at everything. Like my knees were having issues. I was probably going to have to get surgery on my right meniscus at some point because it was just overuse injuries piling up. And I was turning 30, and not 30. I was turning 29 at the time, 29, and I just started being like, I can't build a career that I want to be able to support a family doing what I'm doing right now. And I actually had a conversation with my buddy Dan from like high school. And it was at the time when I was considering jumping in real estate, but I was apprehensive about it because I was like, I don't know if, you know, you have that, anytime you're going to do something new, there's always that voice in the back of your head that goes, what if you can't do this? You know what I mean? Like, what if you're going to do it and fail, you know? And he told me, what he said to me is, he was like, dude, and you'll laugh at this, he was like, you did the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, you live in New York City and you were able to make a living as a professional dancer. Like, no one does that. And it made me realize, like, wow, coming from the background that we came from and overcoming those things and actually making a living at it for however long or short we did it, that is a springboard to show ourselves, like, we've done something that very few people ever can do. You know? I mean, just think of the amount of people that come to BDC, like, every weekend to take classes. The people that move here every year, and the ISVP, like, the international kids that come here, the people, like, the amount of people trying to get through this small little hole into this industry, where it's all about who you know, it's all about your connections, like, it's so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's so improbable to make happen. So if you can go from that and then going into something like DJing or something like real estate, where there's a much closer correlation with like the effort you're putting out and the result you're getting back, it's way more rewarding. You know?
Yeah, man. It's just I'm just having like a bunch of little epiphanies that are like going off in my head.
Cool.
But yeah, like just being like a dancer and then like just waiting so long just to get paid didn't sit right with me either. And I was just like, yo, like I think at the end of the day, I really look forward to the most having a family. You know what I mean? Like, where I always say like my life goal is to walk into my living room, sit on my couch, have my coffee, read the newspaper. Because, you know, like, when you get old, you think, you know, reading the newspaper like you're old. Yeah. But, you know, you're just trying to figure out what's going on and how you need to maneuver. So I used to say it too, like, you know, dance is not going to get me there because, like, I'm getting $150, right? $200. Right. I've been in rehearsal all week, right? For like 8 hours. Right. Not even the artist was like in the room with us. Like, I got so much stuff I gotta like make up for just to get paid. Like,
when did you start dancing? Did you grow up dancing?
No.
So that's another big similarity between you and I. Yeah, because that's another reason why you were probably able to let it go, because I never, like, there's people that start dancing from the age of 3, and it's
Mhm.
all they know their entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're the same way, but I jumped from thing to thing to thing, man. Like I tried everything when I was a little kid, and I
Same.
didn't stick with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I ever stuck with was martial arts.
Nice.
And that gave me like the discipline to try to stick with other things. But I started dancing late, so it wasn't like one of these things where if I give this up, I'm giving up like my life's dream. So that I think, and I have to also like be sympathetic and sensitive to dancers who are really struggling, who that it's like the only thing they want to do. Like that's all they want to do. And I like feel for those people that push through that. But man, I'm thankful that it wasn't that for me, and I was able to, you enjoyed the time you spent doing it. Yeah. You have great memories.
Absolutely.
You were able to travel around the world, do all this insane shit that very few people get to do.
Yeah.
And now it's like on to the next thing.
Yeah. Travel the world. It's funny that you say that because I think dance got me excited. I mean, that aspect of dance, the fact that, I can possibly go to like
possibilities,
Japan.
right?
Yeah, I could possibly go to Japan. It's just like, and all I gotta do is learn this routine and do it, and then I can get on a plane and go to another country that I only see on TV.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen all the time.
No, but there definitely have been moments, like there have been moments when you were dancing where you like get into that hotel room and you're looking at the view and you're like, there's no reason why I should be here right now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And it was crazy. That was me in Japan, like. When the first time I ever went to Japan, like I walked outside.
Is that the first time out of the country for you?
First time.
So like that's a crazy trip to take anyway. Yo, most people go to Mexico the first time out of the country. And you're like across the world, Japan.
And that was the first time I ever been on a plane. I never wanted to get on the.
And your first flight was 14 hours.
15 hours.
Maybe I remember
16. 16.
Did you go? You went JFK to Tokyo.
Yeah, and then
nonstop.
Nonstop, and then from Tokyo to Osaka. And
then you flew from Tokyo back?
Yeah, we flew to Osaka first, and then we flew from Osaka to Tokyo to New York.
And it was nonstop both ways?
Nonstop both ways.
I stopped in Detroit, which made the flight like 17 hours. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But that's crazy. So what was that like going to a place that's that different? What did you think of the culture? What did you think of...
Oh, man. Japan is my second home. Actually, no, I think Japan is like my first home. You know what I mean?
I felt that way too. I think it's a very romantic place. Yeah. It's a very unique place in the fact that like it's one of the only countries in the world that still has a very monochromatic culture in that it's very like they're very nationalistic, and there are a lot of different cultures there, and there's a lot of immigrants, but it's the majority of the people are Japanese, and they have cultures going back like 1,000 years.
Yeah, I think, and just being around that, and the fact that I'm walking around and nobody looks like me, and then there's a language that I don't understand, and it's just like, wait, I just want to go to the bathroom, like, and it's just, But then the warmness of the culture, like you go shopping, and they'll walk you to the door. Yeah, they won't. You can't put money in their hand. Like you have to put it like on a tray. Mm-hmm. They walk you to the door. They say bye. They bow 1,000 times. But this one lady, I was leaving Dizu in Tokyo, no, not in Tokyo, in Osaka, and she legit stood outside the door of the store, and waved to me and bowed to me as I went down the block. Yeah. And she didn't leave until I turned the corner.
Yeah. It's an interesting difference because in Japan, you're like, people will stop and not only will they tell you how to get where you want to go, but they'll walk you where you need to go. And the entire time they use it as an opportunity to practice their English. Like they're super into trying to like trade language. And it's an interesting difference when you compare Japan to China. Because in China, it's like the opposite.
I went to China 2 months after that.
Opposite. In China, like people, and this isn't a slight on Chinese people. It has nothing to do with this. I'm just saying, it's very interesting the difference because in China you will get scammed. Like people will try to sell you fake art. Yeah. People will try to like,
all the time. As soon as you walk out your door.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that in Japan.
But, no, and the funny thing is, I went to I went to China literally like 2 or 3 months after I got back from Japan.
Yeah.
And I was told, not to really go. They don't think it's a good idea. That's just by my agency. Blah blah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was just like, I don't think you need to go. And I'm like, I want to go to experience the culture. Like, that was more.
Where in China did you go?
Shanghai,
Okay.
Shanghai, Guangzhou, Xi'an.
I've never been to China.
Yeah, this is my first time going. I'm thinking, it's another Asian country. It's gonna be another great experience, bro. I got off the plane, not even into China yet. Off the plane, I'm in the airport, and I just felt the energy of the place, and I was like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I can tell already. I don't want to be here, and it wasn't a shit show because, like, I got to learn so much about, like, business and staging and lighting and just dealing with so many things. Editing music, videos, taking cameras, grabbing the camera yourself and getting a certain angle, getting a certain, like, lighting. And, like, basically taking all these things that you have to do that's past just dancing.
Yeah.
And then, like, put it together and make something and to make people go, whoa.
Right.
That was amazing.
Right.
And I learned that through the choreographer out there.
Nice.
Are we not saying names, or can we say names?
You can say names.
Perfect.
Cool.
Alonzo Williams.
Oh,
from
yeah,
Rhythm City.
Absolutely.
Like, this is somebody that when I started dancing, I knew, like, he was, like, not the it guy per se, like, oh, everybody knows him, but for us, we knew Rhythm City.
Right.
And now this is back when I'm first getting into dance. I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
But there's this group called Rhythm City, and they win every competition. And I was just like, that's interesting. Like, every competition, every show.
Dominating.
Yeah, and this is a crew that looks just like us from the Bronx, but they're out doing other things. Stuff. And I'm just like, how is that possible? And then, like, I saw them perform, and I was just like, who the hell put that together?
Yeah.
And come to find out it's Alonzo, and I'm like, yo, I got to meet this dude. Like, I kind of have to learn from him. And they would teach classes, and then they went on to ABDC.
Yep. I remember on the show.
And, like, we see them, and we're just like, yo, that's a group that looks just like us. Yeah. And they're out. They're on fucking TV.
So what did that do for you? Like, seeing that, as far as inspiring you to like things that you never up until that point you didn't really consider for yourself. You know, like, what were you thinking about? Like, what was your viewpoint on your life at that point? How old were you?
I was 18 at the time.
Okay, so 18, perfect. Like, just finishing high school, right? Like, what would, like, at that point in your life, if you could put yourself back at 18, and were you going to college at that point? Like, you already figured out where you're going to go, or you're still figuring it out?
That's a good question. No, this is after college. This was after college when I didn't want to be in college.
So you went to college before you were 18?
No. Like, I was 18, so I turned 18 like in March.
Got it.
And then that September, I was in school.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So what was that moment like where you saw that and you started? Did that start expanding your,
my vision on life, but from a smaller, like, viewpoint? Because I was thinking, like, oh, like, I want to dance. I want to be like them. And then it's kind of like I got into dancing. I got to work with him, and I got to pick his brain for so long. Because we were out there for a month and a half, and just every day with each other.
How long were you dancing before you went out there with him?
This was in 2014. 2004. 5 years. 4.
Oh, okay.
Wait. 5. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years.
Okay, so you've been dancing for a little bit.
Yeah, I started in 2008, and when I got to Japan with him was in 2014.
Got it.
Yeah, and 6 years, I think. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm out there and I'm picking his brain, and I'm just like, I was texting my boy Maurice Dean. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. That guy was amazing.
That dude, man.
He was awesome.
He's another, like, staple point of inspiration in my life. Yeah. But, so yeah, and Mo was telling me, he's like, yo, like, just pick his brain. Like, watch everything he does and just pick his brain. And it's like, we get to certain places, like, he's talking to the higher ups. He's looking at the stage. He's putting the show together. He's basically like, recreating, remolding to put on something that looks amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm of course, I'm on stage and I'm like walking around making jokes, like having fun. Basically, you're in rehearsal, and like the energy is just like it's like we're a crew. Like we're a family. Like we just know each other, so we can play around a little bit. It's not so like go ahead, like as if you're working for like with somebody higher, like up in the dance world.
Right.
So, but I'm like laughing, joking around, like getting into my spots. I'm watching him, and he's watching the entire picture, and it's just like he's like, nah, this has to go here, this got to go here, these lights got to go on here, and it's just like, how can you think of that much at one time? Mm-hmm. But at the same, and then like you look back on video, and it's just like, yo, that was amazing. And for me, it's just like, yeah, I want to do something like that. Yeah. But in order to do something like that, I have to learn so much more. Yeah. But I mean, it's not a problem because that's all I got to do to get to there. Exactly. Cool. So I think like anything that I've ever done that like pursued me to something was just like, this is what I got to do to get it. Okay, cool, done. Yeah. And I think that's like, I find people that have these same like plugins, like sockets. Right. And I plug into that socket. Okay. And then it just takes me to another.
That's a cool way of thinking of it. You find these people who have this like type of energy that attracts you. Mm-hmm. And so would you say, like, what's your vision right now for where you are, and where you want to go? Like, because take yourself, a year ago, what were you thinking as far as DJing? Like, were you working at H&M then?
A year ago, I was no, I had gotten I was DJing at Iron Bar.
Got it. And you taught yourself pretty much.
Yeah.
DJ wise.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, I'm basically self-taught technique wise at this point a year ago. I'm basically self-taught. I'm very visual. I watch things and I just repeat, and I excel in it, and I learn. So I was DJing at Iron Bar, and I was there Friday and Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Yeah. So, and I'm in Midtown. Yeah. Which is another crazy big thing for me to be doing only a year into DJing. Yeah. And so I'm there every Friday, Saturday night. The entire place is packed out. Great vibes. Everybody's just like, yo, this is amazing.
How did you make the connections to get there? Like how, like...
Matt Tremblay.
Okay. Really?
I was telling him that I needed a job basically because I'm dancing.
And what was he doing? How like
he was booking at the time. He was all around. I just ran back into him, and he was saying that he was working there.
He was working at the bar as a booker.
Yeah, he was a busboy.
Got it.
And so he's like, yo, just come to this bar. Like they're hiring for like busboys and stuff like that. And it was right on the corner of BDC. All right, cool, easy. And so I walked in, and I went to talk to the manager, and he was like...
Oh, real quick. BDC is Broadway Dance Center. Yeah. So if you're not a dancer, Broadway Dance Center is like a really big dance studio in New York. It's where all of us kind of congregated when we were dancing. And so that when we say BDC, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, so the manager, he was like, oh, okay, like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I dance and I DJ. And he was like, you DJ? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you play? I said everything. Totally lied.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Totally lied. Like I didn't really know how to play everything. I was open to everything, but
were you aware that did that lie just come out? Like
it just flew out of my mouth.
So it was like
no thought process at all. I was just like I said that.
That's awesome.
All right, I think I just put my foot in my mouth. But he's like okay, cool. He's like, send me like a demo tape, and we'll see. We'll go from there. And I was like, okay, cool. Walked out of the bar, and I get like down the block to the train station. I'm like, wait, but what happened to me being a busboy? Right. But like that thought easily just flew right out of my mind. So I ran home, and I stayed up for like 5 hours, just putting a 10-minute mix together. Yeah. Of everything that I knew of. Yeah. And also at the time I was working for an entertainment company called Total Entertainment, bar mitzvah company. Yep. And so
Those weekend bar mitzvah gigs.
Oh man, that's another vein in itself.
We get into that in another episode.
Yeah, man. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I know when I'm working with Total, this is what the sound is like, and this is what gets these kind of people up and moving.
Right.
And then I was like, all right, cool, but I'm a dancer, so I know what songs get dancers up and moving. And right. if you at a party, you get somebody on the dance floor dancing, everybody's like just full of it. And I think that's something that helped me at this bar in particular.
Totally.
So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm home, I'm downloading, I'm mixing, finding like little things to like tie the entire piece together so it makes it flow and everybody understands what's going on. 10-minute mix. I tried to send it to him, didn't work. So I put it on a flash drive and I get back to the bar. I'm like, hey, I emailed you, but it didn't go through. Here's my mix on this flash drive. Like, take a listen. He was like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. He's like, come on Monday and we'll try see what happens.
Good shit.
Okay, cool. I'll be ready. You know, you get that like, yeah, I'm good. I got it. You go home like, oh shit, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, he wants me here from like 9 at night till like 2 in the morning. So that's like 6 hours, and I'm just like.
And what day? So how many days did you have to prepare?
This literally happened on like a Friday night.
And you were gonna come in Monday.
Coming that Monday night, I was shitting boots the entire time. Like, oh my god, the whole day, whole weekend.
But also just, like so exciting too.
Yeah, at the same time, and I'm like. I had some. I was like, yo, can somebody make me a flyer? Just make me a quick flyer that says this, this, and this. My homegirl made it. My homegirl CC made it. Gave it to me. I was like, yes, thank you. And then, so I got a couple of people to come out. This is when I was at the Dollhouse, Ken and Dollhouse, the Ken Project. And so I'm like, all right, cool. They coming out. Cool. They come out. I'm DJing. I wait till like 11, 12 to like play like party stuff. And then like party picks up or whatever. And comes to the end of the night and the manager, he comes up to me, he's like, yo, that was great. He was like, I want you to come back Saturday. He's like, yeah, come back Saturday, do the same thing you did for the general manager. It's like, all right, cool.
So you were there on like an off day.
Off day.
And now he brings you back prime time.
Yeah. And
you've been DJing for less than a year.
Less than a year.
That's awesome.
And so, and I got paid like $1.50.
That's
like
awesome.
A quick $1.50. And so I basically made like $300 easy that day. And I was just like, wait, I just made this amount of money in like 12 hours.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make this kind of money in a week.
Sure.
And so I was just like, yo, this is dope. So I come back Saturday and I do the same thing. General manager's just like, yo, like, you're really good. He's like, okay, can you come back next Saturday? Yeah, I can. I'll be here. Cool. So then that kept happening, and I basically booked the residency spot.
That's awesome.
I'm there every weekend, every Saturday night, prime night.
That's amazing.
In
Midtown.
In Midtown. So, like a month or two go by, and the general manager comes to me. He's like, hey, we got a situation. Can you come in Friday? All right, cool. Yeah, I can come Friday. That's no problem. He's like, yeah, so you'll do Friday and Saturday. Wait, 2 days? Like, why 2? Come to find out, the DJs that were DJing on Friday nights wouldn't switch up their music. They would just play house and like techno all night. And so he was like, I told them, to change up the music. Not everybody like wants to listen to this because it's Midtown. Not everybody wants to listen to that. There's nothing wrong with it, but your ear kind of gets numb to certain things with people that listen to a lot of music, at least. And so I was like, yeah, I'll come Friday. I did Friday, Saturday night, and it went on for a little while. And I went to him. I was like, hey, like, do you want me to just do this full time? He's like, yeah, we're going to talk to you about that. Just do Friday, Saturday nights until we find another DJ. Never happened.
Nice.
I was there Friday, Saturday nights, and each week I got better and better. I would go home, download more music, practice what I did, come back, and it would just work every single time to the point where like now the bar is entirely packed out. Everybody's dancing, everybody's up, having a good time. I used to actually get upset if it was like I would start at 10 and at 3. If the dance floor, if nobody was up dancing at like 11:30, I was upset.
Yeah.
Like, and then my manager come on, he's like, "Hey, what's wrong?" I'm like, nobody's moving, nobody's dancing. It's 11:30, like nobody's dancing. He's like, Kev, come, like relax. Everybody's having a good time, like they're relaxing. No, I don't want that. Get up, like if you need to go get a drink, I'll pay for it. Just get up and like dance. Like let's bring this energy up.
Yeah.
And like that was just my focus, and that's just what kept carrying me, like pushing me every like step of the way.
Nice.
So yeah.
What like what motivates you? What motivates you to get up and like and put in the time and put in the effort and what gets you out of bed? What's your what do your mornings look like? What's your kind of like daily schedule like? How do you keep yourself focused on what you want to do and all that stuff?
I would say my motivation is just two things. Like I don't want to go back to the way I used to live.
Okay.
In terms of like struggling a lot.
Sure.
And this goes back to like when it was me and my mom.
Yeah. And
then also to the point where I have no safety net.
Right.
Like I don't have parents right now. So if I fail, I'm done.
So a lot of it's necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I, on a day-to-day basis, like, I wake up and I'm like, okay, I got to do this today, this today, but I need to do this. And if I don't do all of these things that I have to do, which is like stuff that, like downloading music or putting something together, sending out a contract, like when there's like the little things that you have to do to make like what you're trying to do bigger versus the things you just naturally have to do during the day. And I was just like, like if I got to get these things done, I got to get these things done because at the end of the day, if I don't get them done and everything like falls, I have nobody to fall back on.
Right.
Like,
it's on you.
Yeah. Like it's kind of what Eric Thomas said. Like, there, like no safety net.
Right.
Like he was like, when I was in school, like he's like, I called my grandmother, way early in the year, like back in October, before the semester even started, before I even knew what the criteria was, what the work was. I knew that at the end of that, I had to graduate. Right. And he was like, where I come from, if you call somebody and tell them I'm graduating, they have to pay for a ticket to get there because money's that tight.
Yeah. And
then they get there and they paid all that money just to come and see you graduate and you don't graduate. He said, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is for me too. Like, I don't have a safety net. Some people have the option not to live with one. Mm-hmm. Me, I just don't have one. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is for me. I just don't want to fail. I don't want to have to look at my kids and be like, I can't afford that.
Right. Right.
And like I don't want to have to tell my wife, babe, like we can't really do that because money's tight on this end, like or we just can't afford that. I don't want to say that.
Do you ever have like bad days, bad weeks, bad months?
Oh man, all the time. But I noticed that I have more bad days and more like times where I feel weak when I'm in a transitional period. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it beats me up every day, but somehow, some way, like I still get there. Like even if it's just making by, like at least I still made it. Yeah. And like now it's just like, but at the same time, I'm like this because I'm learning so many different things to help spiral me up to get to a better place. Right. Or the place that I'm supposed to be at. So all the time, I have like rants where I'm just like, I can't do this. Nope, I can't even say that. I never really say that. It's just like, like it's a lot I gotta do. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not there yet in these things that I want to do. So now I'm just like, it's hard, but I'm like scraping, but it's hard.
Do you ever have a day where like, you're caught in one of those kind of down moments and stuff, and you, like, does it ever take you down to the point where you just can't get anything done? Like, do you ever like just be like, fuck it, I'm not doing shit today?
Yeah, I have those moments. Yeah, I had that moment not too long ago.
How do you pull yourself out of it?
I actually listen to a lot of I do a couple of things, but one thing always like gets the job done. I'll listen to a bunch of speeches, like John Robb, Tony Robbins. Now it's Eric Thompson, Les Brown. Like and I just got put onto Gary Vee.
Yeah.
And it inspires me because it's like I like these people because they do this, and I would love to do that too. Like all the way in the back of my head, it's not what I want to do right now. It's like because I got this to do, but I would listen to them and they would just pick me up.
Yeah.
It's like cool. So then I'll start listening to like maybe meditation music. Start to try to meditate and like filter things out. But none of that really always like kind of really gets, it does a good job, a good part of the job, but it doesn't get the job done.
Right.
At the end of the day, I'll just pray.
Yeah.
Like sit down, listen, God, I know I should be talking to you a little bit more than I do, but I just thank you for everything that you've given me. I'm not saying I'm not thankful. I'm very grateful for what I've done.
Yeah.
And for what you've provided me with. But right now, I need your help a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be selfish. I'm not, it's not my intention. But I need it right now. Like, I need some help. And then, like, I'll just get lifted up. And it'll come in spurts. I got a little bit to at least get up. I got a little bit more to do this. I got a little bit more to do this.
Right, and then you get a little momentum. And then before you know it, you're out and doing it. Yep. Totally. I feel the same way, man. I think it's about, and I was just making a video. I'm going to put another podcast up this week. Like, with Trump and with all this shit going on in our country and, like, how divisive everyone is. And, like, all of this negative energy bearing down on us, like, I know you feel it. Like, and I know I feel it. Like, everyone feels it. It's like there's just, like, this weight of all this shit that you have no control over that's trying, and you feel like you don't have as much control over your life as you actually do. You feel like there's all these outside things that are coming in and affecting what is happening in your life and what you're experiencing. But in reality, most of that stuff doesn't affect you at all. And if you just focus on what you can control, and part of focusing on what you can control, and I love that you mentioned those people like Gary Vee and Tony and Lev Brown and who was the other person?
Tony.
Jim
Roth.
Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
Jim Rohn, yeah. Jim Roth or Jim Rohn?
I mean, I think it's Jim.
I think it's Jim Rohn.
Rohn, yeah, it might be. It possibly is.
One of those guys. All the time. But, like, proactively putting that good shit in your brain and seeding this mechanism up here that, like, is responsible for every single thing that we experience in our life. Like, everything in your life today is a product of something up here first. Everything in the physical world that you see was, here in New York especially, like, all these buildings were built by someone who had an idea, right? And that person, those ideas come from somewhere. And I think you can train your brain over time to produce better ideas, So I think being proactive and doing that, that's exactly what I do too, man. I find that the more I'm consistent with feeding my brain good stuff and inspiration and staying focused on what I actually have control over, and then being grateful for everything that I have. Because when you mentioned about praying, like, and starting with what you're grateful for, right?
Yep.
And then the third part, and this is the part that a lot of people have problems with, especially people who are kind of like anti-religion, maybe atheistic or whatever. They have a problem with giving it up to, like, a greater power. And everyone hears God and they think, you say God and it conjures up all these different conflicting viewpoints from different people, right? It's a very loaded term. And I almost think, like, God is not a good enough term. I think it falls short of what the word actually represents.
Yeah.
And it's basically that you can do all these things in your life, but at a certain point, there are things that are outside of your control. And when you give up, when you surrender that control to something bigger than yourselves, all of these things that were weighing you down are suddenly lifted.
Yep.
And it's not about, like, I think people can have that same experience without having to be part of, like, a religion. I think you can have a personal relationship with, I won't even say God, I'll just say the unknown, like what we don't know, And if you have a personal relationship with that and you can let it go and you can give it up to that, it can give you strength beyond what you have now, where you feel, because if you really feel like everything is all on you, if you really feel like you have complete control over everything in your world, then everything bad that happens, you not only have to take ownership of, but it's up to you to fix it. And if you can't fix it, if you don't have the power to fix it, that's what causes people to fall into depression, into all of these different things, because they feel like the circumstances of their lives not only are they never going to stop, not only is it completely their fault, but they also have no power to fix it.
Absolutely.
And that's why having like some type of relationship to a great, like a higher power, whatever it is for you, I feel like is so crucial and so important to having success, you know?
Absolutely. Like, I can tell you so many stories when like I've literally just prayed and I was just released automatically, you know what I mean? And yeah, like, and that's the thing, like I never really, I've gotten to the point where I don't preach to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't, if you're a certain religion, then that's just your religion. It's like, it's almost like your race. That's just that's where you're from.
Right.
That's all I care. That's not nothing for me to fully care about, to judge you in any kind of way. But I believe in this, and it works for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that works for you, then that works for you. As long as it's good and it's not harmful, it's not negative. Like, do you just do what you need to do? And I feel the same way. I feel like we are all just connected to this greater good, this greater being, this outside unknown source that makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally believe in that.
It's very possible, man. I was listening to this thing the other day where they were talking about, like, imagine, like, we exist in, like, 3 dimensions, right? So we're here, like, you and I are having this conversation, right? And we're here, and there's a couch, and there's, you know, all this stuff. And we can see it all because it's in the physical dimension that we see, which is in 3 dimensions, right? And then 4th, which is time, that we experience as time. But scientists are actually now saying that there's up to like 11 or 12 dimensions.
Wow.
Which is insane. And what that means, like, to put it in perspective, imagine you had a piece of paper, right? So a piece of paper is 2 dimensions. And an ant is walking on a piece of paper, right? You, because you're in 3 dimensions, and if you're waving your hand up here, that ant has no idea your hand was there, right? Wow. If you put your finger down in front of that ant, now all of a sudden your finger's in that ant's very limited field of view, and now your finger's a part of their world. But from that ant's perspective, if you lifted your finger up, it just disappeared into thin air. It went somewhere completely elsewhere.
Wow.
Right? So when people have, that's why I just laugh, like when people have trouble even entertaining the idea of like a greater power or something greater than what we can comprehend. It's there's so many things that happen in our physical world that we have no explanation for, that one day we could eventually, you know, answer. But I guess my whole point in like going on that rant about that is just there's so much we don't know. There's so much mystery, and sometimes it's good to just let go of control of having to know everything in your life.
Absolutely. And
just give it up to God and let whatever's going to happen. And what also is interesting, because I'm thinking back to some of the things you said before about how it's very interesting how everything you've done up to this point has informed the next thing. And I don't know if you realize that or not, or if you've been able to look back and connect the dots, because what I'm hearing is like, okay, you know, you went from, what were you into like before you started dancing? Were you like, what was your first thing like you were ever like into, if you can think back?
Music, the drums.
Okay.
I played the drums, and well, actually no, taking it way further back. When I was in 4th grade, I learned how to play the violin.
Okay.
And then later on, like the 6th or 7th grade, I picked up the drums, like just the snare drum. Got to high school, played the trombone.
Okay.
And then I played the drums for my church.
So you've been in music for
it's always been music.
All right, so you go from music, right? And then that music informs your ability to have rhythm and understand dance, and then dance exposes you to all these other genres of music. And then and then one of the things you love about dance is obviously performing and making people feel a certain way, right? Bringing people into your world, creating an energy. And then you go from that to DJing, which is almost a blending of everything that you've done up until this point, because you're performing, right? You're putting all these different types of music together, and you're affecting the energy of people around you in a positive way. So what's going to be interesting, and this is the one thing I like to ask people, is looking back, you can see how those dots connect. Right? But you can't see how it's going to connect moving forward. But if you look at everything where you're at now and how it's everything you've done is informed where you're at right now, then whatever you're going to do, like wherever DJing is going to take you and whatever you might end up doing afterwards has to connect back to that in some way. And that could kind of be a window into like asking yourself what you might want to do next or how you might want to push it further.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And absolutely. I feel like yeah, like you can't like connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. Somebody said that. I believe it was Jim. But I feel like you can still see the dot ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even if it's not filled in yet, like there's still like a silhouette of that dot.
So what does that look like for you right now?
For me,
like moving forward, what does 5 years from now look like? Where would you like to be? You know?
5 years, I'm gonna be like.
No, let's not. For 5 years is too far. Let's say.
I was about to say I normally do 3.
Yeah, let's say 3. No, let's not even do that. Where do you want to be this time next year?
Oh man, this time next year.
Yeah.
Definitely doing a lot of corporate gigs.
Okay.
As a DJ, building a like a company to provide same thing like DJ service, but maybe also DJ dancer.
You told me about this before. We had a conversation about this like maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about this. Cool.
And then basically like being like the overseer of a creation.
Cool.
And it helping people either financially or physically, whether like you just want to DJ, you just want to dance. Here's the platform that I created that I put together to use for that.
That's awesome.
And yeah, like that's just where I see it as, like where I'm like I'm the initiator, and like it's like I'm the car, like like I'm the key, like
yeah,
you turn the key in the car and it ignites the entire car up. Nice. And the car moves, whether fast or slow, it moves. Of course, I want it to move fast, but yeah, like somewhere of that nature. So basically, just being like a big CEO person.
So you want to start your own company, basically?
Yeah.
DJing company, like a production company?
Any kind of company, like a whole entertainment enterprise kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dope, man. So what steps have you taken so far?
So right now it's learning as much about DJing as I can. From everything from how you gotta hold your hand on the turntable, how you gotta mix, how you gotta do this, and this, to rocking a party, to skill styles like scratching or beat juggling, but then not only the craft but the business side of it. So I know how things work on that. So it's like putting myself around people that business minded, entrepreneur minded, to build a strong business to support the art form. Okay. And then putting it on a platform in so many different ways. Yeah. Like.
And isn't it crazy? Like all of this came from just an idea you had, and taking action and being consistent. Mm-hmm. Like that's literally all it is when it comes down to. And there's a lot of obstacles that'll come up, but like one of the things that you realize when you look at people like Gary Vee, when you look at people, when you look at anyone who's built anything successful, it's a lot of success comes down to just being too stubborn to give up. Mm-hmm. You know, and just sticking with one course until it gets you where you want to go. Mm-hmm.
I like to say it as there's a concept I actually just made not too long ago, but it's inspired by a lot of different things, like The Alchemist, for example. Okay. But it's basically finding your gold. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like for me personally, the most visually like pleasing like jewelry is gold. 24K, like that's what you 24K gold, like that's what everybody from my perspective loves gold, and gold looks the most attractive. So we all like have this gold within us, and when we kind of like open up our chest and like we realize that there's gold there, and like it shines off and it connects to like other people who have the same gold.
Right.
And so you meet people and they do one or two things. They either dirty up your gold because you have haters and they want to put dirt on it,
Right.
or you meet somebody. You meet a couple different people. You meet somebody that shines your gold, like to help it brighter, so that way you can reflect it off into somebody else that has gold, the same gold as you. And then you get other people who are inspired by this gold, and it ignites a gold to them. So it's like that could be the reflection.
Right.
Like you could be receiving the reflection from that.
Sure.
To reflect off into another piece of gold. And so it's just like, and then when you meet these people that have the same gold, they add on to your gold to make it brighter.
Right.
And I feel like people like you, for example, for Gary Vee, anybody that I'm surrounding myself now that's new, after like this new step that I'm kind of taking, like kind of putting myself out there and being more open to what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like having my gold shine a little bit more. I'm reflecting so many different people, which is like now like a lot of things that you say, like your own experiences with dance. I look at it as just like, yeah, like that was me. Like I had those same questions. I had those same thoughts. Then I have another friend who, again, I met through dance. And I was just like, yo, like you're doing this, this, and this. Like that's something that I need to be doing. Like I need to be doing that. And then there's just so many different people, so many different things that you just get attracted to. It's off of the gold that you're giving off and they're giving off and how it connects.
It has a lot to do with, it's the same thing as like, I hate to say the law of attraction because I think that's like, people hear the law of attraction, I think people use it as an excuse to be lazy. Where they're like, oh, I'm just going to, believe and put a vision board on my walls and just look at it every day and then whatever. But I think when you make a decision, right, that you're going to be about something, that you're going to do something, that you're going to put a certain energy out into the world, and when you start authentically putting that energy out into the world, the world responds. Absolutely. So what happens is all of a sudden, like this vision that was all cloudy in your mind, this dream that you kind of didn't quite have completely formed, when you make a decision to go after it, all of a sudden the universe, God, the world conspires to put things in your path to make it happen. So I think it's just about being sure of what you want, putting that energy out there on a consistent basis, and then being open to whatever comes.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, this is awesome, man.
Perfect.